Vessel of Hatred represents the first major expansion in Blizzard's latest satanic ARPG, Diablo 4, and with a whole new region to explore, there's quite a number of new activities to tackle and features to learn while you confront the Lords of Hell. Before you dive back into the fiery depths, here are the biggest changes to look out for in Vessel of Hatred. Without question, the biggest change immediately available in Vessel of Hatred is the all-new character class, the Spiritborn. This tribalistic magical warrior relies on guardian spirits to lay the smackdown on any enemies of Sanctuary that get in your way. You can roll this new flavor of Wanderer the same way as any other, and you can even skip the main campaign if you'd prefer to jump straight into the action down south in Nahantu. The coolest thing about the Spiritborn, aside from the badass ghostly animals of course, is the modular, deeply customizable nature of their build crafting. Instead of nudging you towards a glass cannon or tank build like some of the other more focused classes, the Spiritborn is much more customizable, so you can mix and match abilities to make your own Wanderer cocktail and pivot to a different strategy whenever you want. Choosing between the mobility-focused eagle abilities and the poison-heavy, life-stealing centipede powers is a ton of fun, so don't be afraid to respec and experiment away. If you tend to play Diablo 4 solo, then you'll be delighted to learn about the new Mercenaries system, which allows you to recruit NPC allies and bring them into battle to lend a hand. There's 4 in total, all of which are easy to unlock as part of the Vessel of Hatred campaign, and each of which has their recruitment quest that introduces the character and their unique set of bloodthirsty traits. Options include the ranged bounty hunter Subo, who really likes to light things on fire, and the demon child Aldkin, who uses her dark magic to punish Sanctuary's baddies. As you explore with each one, you'll unlock skills and other rewards for leveling them up, and later on, you'll even be able to assign a second mercenary in a support role to help out in certain situations. Now, playing solo doesn't have to be quite so solitary. Returning from Diablo 2, rune words are a new build crafting feature that unlocks over the course of Vessel of Hatred's campaign. You'll find rune words in the Karast Undercity activity, and from killing certain enemies and completing other activities. Once you've got a piece of equipment with 2 open slots on it, you can choose a rune of ritual to establish a trigger condition, like whenever you drink a health potion, and a rune of invocation to pick which desirable effect happens whenever the trigger condition is met, like releasing a cloud of poison insects to attack your foes. These runes add a whole new element to build crafting, and in the endgame, when you unlock some seriously cool options, can be incredible game changers.
A delicate piece needs a delicate hand.
The Dark Citadel is one of the best ways to spend your time in Vessel of Hatred. This raid-like activity is the first of its kind for the Diablo series, and pits you and up to 3 other Wanderers against a series of tough battles, light puzzle mechanics, and devilish bosses in exchange for high-end loot. The dungeon is comprised of 3 different wings, each with their own short gauntlet of challenges, which can be completed one at a time without losing progress. You'll unlock this activity once you've completed the Vessel of Hatred campaign and moved the World Tier difficulty up to Torment 1 or higher, which requires running a challenging activity called the Pit. Then you can start tackling this really awesome endgame activity and claim some really dope prizes. One way to make your Dark Citadel runs a little smoother is by using one of Vessel of Hatred's other additions, Party Finder. This matchmaking tool helps you find other Diablo players looking to tackle similar activities as you, so you can group up and smack around some demons together. You can also use tags to filter for people looking to play the same way as you, like if you're hoping to grind an activity repeatedly or are interested in playing with someone who wants to communicate via voice chat. The Karast Undercity is a new, infinitely replayable activity in Vessel of Hatred. This dungeon is a time attack mode of sorts and throws a procedurally generated series of hallways and bad guys at you for you to slice your way through as fast as possible. The rewards you receive will be greatly increased if you throw a tribute into the Spirit Brazier before running it. Tributes are consumables you'll find after completing endgame activities, so be sure to bring plenty of those when grinding the Karast Undercity. This activity is pretty similar to Greater Rifts from Diablo 3, and is a great way to grind for loot and experience in the endgame, especially since it encourages completing it as quickly as possible due to the time limitation. It's a bit mindless after a while, but hey, there's nothing wrong with running amok through monster-filled dungeons for hours on end. If you were intimidated by Diablo 4's exhaustive 100 level grind until this point, then this next change should make you smile. The level cap for all characters has been lowered to just 60, all of which go by pretty quickly and which I was able to easily cap out by the end of the campaign. After that, you'll get to separately grind through the reworked Paragon system as you tackle the endgame. The great thing about this change is now you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time repeating lower level activities before diving into Vessel of Hatred's most challenging ones. Now, as soon as you feel your build is strong enough to jump to the next world tier difficulty, you can turn up the volume and go for it. Not only does this pace feel better and less grindy, but it makes me a whole heck of a lot more likely to go through the relatively quick process each season, when we're required to do it all over again. Speaking of things to do once you've reached max level, the endgame Paragon progression system has also received a major overhaul. The biggest change is that the max Paragon level is now 300 and is shared across all your characters, so you'll be able to jump from Wanderer to Wanderer and still make progress across your entire account. The rest remains mostly the same, and you'll be adding convoluted perk boards to your Paragon tree, slotting runes into place to gain special bonuses, and obsessing over squeezing every last ounce of power increases from this absurdly dense system. But having more points to spend and being able to do so across all of your characters makes progression feel a whole lot more meaningful. Remember those videos of streamers doing billions of damage in Diablo 4? Well, if you don't, the folks at Blizzard seem to. And one of the more amusing changes you'll find in Vessel of Hatred is that the damage numbers have been reduced a whole heck of a lot. If you're freaking out because you just hit an enemy for 70 damage, don't panic. Your Claymore might not be as terrible as you think. It might not be as fun now that we don't get to see hundreds of millions of damage flash across the screen, but at least now a small increase in DPS is actually meaningful and easier to notice. Certainly a boon for those of us who would like to more easily track our power climb. The Season of Hatred Rising itself adds a few bits and baubles of its own on top of the standard Vessel of Hatred content, but one of the major additions is the new seasonal activity, Realm Walker. You can look for this activity on your map, represented by a little portal marker and a progress bar. By traveling over to the area, you'll find a large demon with a portal on its back waddling around the area. And by following him around and killing his demon friends, you'll slowly chip away at his health until eventually he dies and you're able to crawl into the portal on his back. What follows is a more traditional dungeon activity, but the rewards are pretty good, like seething opals, consumables that grant you additional rewards and XP for a period of time after consuming them. While you're grinding your way to Paragon level 300, these things can make the going a whole lot more profitable. So that makes the otherwise by-the-numbers Realm Walker seasonal activity well worth the trouble. And there you have it. Those are the 10 biggest things added to Diablo 4 via the new Vessel of Hatred expansion. For more on Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, check out all the best ways to play the new Spiritborn class, including some deadly builds. And of course, for everything else video games, stick with IGN.